This is not a political video. What you're about to watch is an exploration of a hypothetical question. What would happen to the US and to the world if a US president could stay in power indefinitely? Let's break it down. First, what does the US Constitution say? The 22nd Amendment, ratified in 1951, states, "No person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice." This amendment was passed after President Franklin D. Roosevelt was elected to 4 terms, mostly during World War II. So today, a president can serve a maximum of 2 terms, 8 years, if elected twice. But here's where the question begins. What if a president stayed beyond 2 terms, either by law or by circumstance? Would it be legal? And what would be the economic and geopolitical impact? Here's something to consider. Most other powerful roles in US government have no term limits. US senators, no term limits. 6-year terms, re-electable indefinitely. House representatives, also no limits. 2-year terms, renewable for life. Supreme Court justices, appointed for life, they serve until death, retirement, or removal. State governors, depends on the state. Some have term limits, others don't. So while the presidency is capped at 2 terms, many long-term office holders can shape law and policy for decades. This contrast raises an interesting debate. Is the presidency uniquely powerful or uniquely constrained? Now let's explore 3 ways a president might stay in power longer than currently allowed. Option 1. Amending the Constitution. A legal, democratic change, but a difficult one. It requires a 2/3 majority in Congress and approval from 3/4 of the states. In today's polarized political environment, that's a steep climb. Option 2. A national emergency scenario. In theory, a major crisis, such as war or natural disaster, could lead to election delays under emergency powers. While rare, the US government has classified documents known as Presidential Emergency Action Documents, or PEADs, outlining what happens during severe disruptions. These documents are not public, so there's some speculation about their scope, including whether continuity of leadership could override term limits in a worst-case scenario. Option 3. Gradual institutional weakening. This isn't a legal route, but rather a slow erosion of democratic norms. It might involve reducing checks and balances, undermining media or judicial independence, or discouraging electoral competition. In some countries, this has allowed leaders to remain in power indefinitely, even while maintaining the appearance of democracy. Could such a shift actually succeed in the US? It would depend on many factors: the strength of the courts, the independence of Congress, state-level resistance, public opinion, and, importantly, the response of global markets and allies. Because here's the bigger picture. The US presidency isn't just a national role. It affects global trade, defense alliances, energy policy, and financial stability. A major change in how that role operates could send shockwaves around the world. Let's consider both sides of the argument. Potential benefits of a longer-term presidency. From a theoretical standpoint, some argue that longer presidential terms could offer 1. Stability during crisis. In times of war or national emergency, continuity of leadership could avoid disruptions in governance. 2. Long-term planning. Presidents limited to short terms often focus on immediate results. A longer-term leader might have the space to implement reforms in infrastructure, education, or climate policy over decades. 3. Consistency in foreign policy. Global allies and rivals may prefer predictable, long-term strategies rather than frequent policy reversals every election cycle. Potential risks and global consequences. However, critics warn of serious downsides. 1. Reduced accountability. Term limits ensure regular evaluation by voters. Without them, public influence over the presidency could diminish. 2. Risk of power concentration. Unchecked executive power could shift the balance between branches of government, a key feature of US constitutional design. 3. Market and investor response. Uncertainty about democratic continuity can spook investors, weaken the US dollar, and create global financial ripple effects. 4. Loss of international trust. Many US alliances are based on shared democratic values. Changes to presidential term limits could challenge that perception and reshape America's role on the world stage. So, could a US president rule indefinitely? Technically, only if the law changes or if a constitutional crisis occurs. But even then, the broader consequences, economic, political, and international, could be profound. This scenario isn't about predicting any specific future, it's about understanding the structure of power and what happens when that structure is tested.